Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite in at least 2 races every day this month. Max £25 per race. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hello and welcome to the Monday Postcast. I'm back in the hot seat presenting again. I'm Maddie Player. I'm joined by Mark Scully and we've also got Brendan Duke and Paddy Power on the line as well. Loads to reflect on, an excellent weekend of action as per usual, as we're coming to expect at this time of year. And of course we've got one of the great races of the season, the Ladbrokes Trophy, coming up that we're going to preview as well. We're going to kick off with that big event previously, the Hennessy. I've already been lambasted for calling it the Ladbrokes Gold Cup and all sorts this week, so it's going to be a long week on that front. But Paddy, betting for the Ladbrokes Trophy, please.
Yeah, well, Maddie, I think you're not going to be alone. You have to call it by its proper name, I guess, don't we? So it's going to be tough to get a change in our heads. But anyway, Total Recall is the favourite, pretty short price, 9-2 favourite now. Americans 5-1, Single Farm Payment 6-1, Whisper 8-1, Cooney Grief 14-1, and it's 16-1. I left out Royal Vacation, sorry, at 12-1, and it's 16-1 and bigger the rest.
Okay, excellent. Now, Paddy, before I move on to the others, I just want to ask you about this Total Recall, because I heard, won massively, impressively. It's been put up, I think, £18 or something ridiculous. I hadn't even seen the race, and I just thought, it can't be that good, can it, to win this off that mark? I looked at the race. It absolutely trotted round. What's the analysis? Do you think Mullins, Walsh, Ruby Walsh is out, so I'm not sure who's going to be riding it. But do you think the punters are going to be latching onto that? Do you think he can do it?
Yeah, I think he can. I mean, he's obviously, maybe it's not as strong a Hennessy as some of the ones we've had in the past, although if the winner wins by 20 lengths, it might be. But I think Total Recall could be very, very good. I think the move to Willie Mullins' stable, obviously, the horse has just improved no end, and that run was very, very impressive. The form being franked despite winning that easy, I think, is relatively significant. So I think Total Recall, he's a pretty obvious place to start, and he's sort of almost where I stop as well. I think it could be a bit special, and it could be a proper graded horse anyway, and he'd probably have to be to win this. But hopefully, I wouldn't say hopefully because it'll be a bad result for us, but I think there's a very good chance that he'll be the one taking home the bacon. Okay,
Gold Cup horse maybe for the future.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think he could be, and if he does win this well, you got to think that he would be in the mix. But the Gold Cup this year, maybe it's the same every year, I'm not sure. But this year, it just feels like it's a really, really strong, deep Gold Cup field. I know nobody's got injured yet. Yeah, I know it kind of does. It seems very good this year so far, and Total Recall will be in the mix as well. But I don't think he's going to be favoured or anything like
that. Okay. I read a stat that 8 of the last 10 winners have carried more than 11 stone. Now, Coney Gree obviously makes the weights very interesting. He's still in. Brendan, we'll go to you next. Who's your Ladbrokes Trophy pick?
I'm at the front end. I was leaning towards American, second season novice, strong traveller, bold jumper. He looks to have the right profile for it, but he also has a mark of 157, which is no joke. And the forecast this week is for dry and windy in Newbury, so the ground doesn't look like it's going to be particularly bad either. The deeper the better for him. So at the price I was a little bit worried, and then I was looking down, I was struggling, but I saw the Pleasant Company. Willie Mullins might have a second arrow in his quiver for this race. Pleasant Company is still in, and he's 25-1, and he's a lightly raced 9-year-old, believe it or not. He's only had 14 runs. I thought a mark of 147. He was very well backed in the Grand National last year. This year, last season, and he was travelling away, and then he made a mistake and he stumbled, and that sort of knocked the stuffing out of him. But I do think he has.
He still finished in the National, didn't he?
He finished. He'd have finished closer, but for that mistake. And again, I'm not sure he totally stayed on it, but he did stay. He's a tough horse. 147. He's 25-1. I think he'd be the one. Now, I don't know if he's going to run. Just because Willie Mullins leaves a horse in doesn't mean it's going to run. He loves paying entry fees. It's his favourite thing. So I'm going to wait. I'm gonna wait and see, but I think he'd still be around 16 or 20-1, even if he's declared, and you might get extra places on the day. So he's the one I'm looking at the moment.
I like that very much. Love a bit of value. Mark, to you, last but not least.
Yeah, I mean, instinctively, I'd want to be looking at something bigger. Just That's just the way I like to bet in these races. But I can't get away from American for many of the reasons Brendan just said. I take the point about the ground, but the way Paddy was talking about Total Recall being potentially a serious animal, I think the same about American. I think, and there's so much to like about the way he goes about his racing. And I think specifically for this race, I think, I like something in this race that can get out on the front, get into a nice rhythm, and I can picture him just slowly, one by one, just getting them all out of their comfort zone, and he's just travelling away, popping away nice in front. So I like the fact that he didn't go to the RSA, because I think that's a race that obviously some horses, Denman, talking about this race, Denman went to an RSA and was fine, but I think a lot of horses find an RSA very, very difficult at that stage of their careers, and it takes a lot out of them at a young age. And I like that he missed it. The reports of the schooling sessions, it looked good. Everyone seems happy. And I think American could be very, very good.
Talking tactics, I mean, we had Native River last year. He was very prominent. And Smad Place as well forced it when he won so emphatically. I think you want to be up there, don't you, in a Hennessy? You don't really want to be coming from behind.
When I think of this race, that's what I think of is, something, like I said with American, just getting out in the front and you just start seeing them in behind one by one. Just, he's come off the bridle, another one's off the bridle, and there's just something up the front that just... doesn't seem, it seems untroubled, and because it's you forget sort of as well, it can be not the most straightforward race for those in behind as well. Sometimes I think you try and find, and just getting away out of trouble is an attractive angle, I think.
Yeah, okay. We'll move on to the fighting fifth now. I think it's Bouverdare's intended reappearance. Paddy, can we have some betting? What price Bouverdare for that?
Yeah, you sure can. You won't be getting rich back in Bouverdare anyway, Maddie. 4-11 Bouverdare. Irving's 11-2. Apple's Jade and John Constable both 7-1, and then 16-1 Flying Tiger. Marsal is 40-1, and Cat Gary is the rag at 66-1. But doesn't look like the strongest race ever. After Faheen won the other day, Nicky Henderson was kind of scratching his head, thinking like, what are we got to do now? But Bouverdare has to win this very, very handy, I would have thought. I mean, there's almost. It's surely a penalty kick.
Apple's Jade, she's going to go for the Royal Bond, isn't she? I'm not too sure. Although she ran in this last time, I don't think she's going to go for this year, is she?
I'm pretty sure she's running on Sunday. Yeah, so she's she's still obviously still left at the entries, I assume, or else we shouldn't have her in the betting. But I'd say she's due to run in Ferryhouse Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. So Bouverdare. There is all this hype about Fahim, Mark, but I'll go to you. Do you not think what he's done's been underestimated a little bit? I mean, everyone's saying it's an open champion hurdle, but he won it so easily. Yeah,
I think so. I think it was one of those races that looked possibly weaker beforehand, and then you come out of it, and you had to give him the credit because he won it in the style of a really good one. I like him a lot. I mean, I'm not saying much, but I do think he'll win on the weekend. I can't see any trouble there. Conditions should be fine. Fighting fifth winners going into champion hurdles don't necessarily have the best records. It's an interesting route to take. I don't know if that's just one of those circumstantial things or whether there's anything to it. But he's a horse I like, and still very young as well. I think people forget as well. He's entitled to be better this year still, than he was last year. So, it's still, Fahim was obviously incredibly impressive, but I still think Fahim has something to prove in the sense that he's got to prove that he's back and able to do it. Another race again, exactly. Yeah. So I'd still be in the Bouverdare camp at the moment, looking ahead to March, and definitely on the weekend. Yeah,
I think it'd be difficult not to be at that sort of price. Brendan, is it worth mentioning Irving? I mean, Comedy of Errors and Bird's Nest both won this race 3 times. He's a 2-time winner. Paul Nicholls is sort of every year he seems to aim him at this race, and this is the one race that the horse sort of consents to win. He's obviously had his issues, but what have you got to say about him?
Well, the BFA, I suppose the people who are all over the horses are best fresh, because he seems to basically have 1 or 2 runs a season, and his first run seems to be the best run. So I could certainly see that, but he hasn't shown anything, even in his top performances, to suggest he can run to 170. Over 169 or 170, he didn't run 170. I'm just singing from the same hymn sheet as Mark, Maddie. Beauvoir is the coming force. Well, he's the present. He looks the future. He should be fab for the champion hurdle at the moment, and I don't think he'll have any trouble beating these.
Okay, Paddy. What price is the champion hurdle Bouverdare, and what do you think? Do you think he's going to win this, and then, can he even contest Faheen and get anywhere near him in the champion, or not for you?
Well, I think you got with Faheen. There's obviously the big doubt about him getting to Cheltenham. If Faheen gets to Cheltenham, he could be very short. And if he's not going to be very short, Bouverdare has to keep winning at Preston. At the moment, Faheen is half the price of Bouverdare, which maybe is unjust, but he's 7-4. Bouverdere 7-2. It's the biggest 4-1 out there, and it's like you're trying to find runners outside of those two. To be fair, so both prices are probably good prices if you knew they're going to get there safe and sound. But Bouverdere, I can't see him even if he laps them at the weekend. I still don't think he'd be favoured ahead of Faheen for the champion hurdle just yet, and we just have to see how the seasons go and the build up to it. But it could be one of those ones where the Irish go over thinking Faheen's a certainty, and Bouverdere will do nothing wrong as the reigning champion, could go in too big a price next March. But we wait and see.
Okay, that's quite rare. I think we've all got a bit of a consensus on that one then. Big Bouverdere fans. It's competition time now. Every week we offer listeners and viewers the chance to win a £25 or €25 free bet. All you have to do is answer the upcoming question correctly and tweet your answer using the hashtag Postcast. Today's question is, which champion hurdle winner is due to make his seasonal debut at Newcastle on Saturday? Join us just after this.
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite in at least 2 races every day this month. Max £25 per race. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back to the Monday Postcast. Now, I'm going to get a bit giddy because it's time to talk about Thistlecrack, who's my favourite horse in training. Everyone knows, can't shut up about him ever. So it's great to see him back at Newbury on Friday. We're going to tuck into the action at Newbury now a bit more thoroughly. And, of course, he takes on, you know what I mean, Harry, in the long-distance hurdle. Paddy, how do you bet? I think he's evens-ish, isn't he now, the boy?
Yeah, he's actually, we're gone 10-11. He's evens around... you know what I mean? Harry is 7-4, Holstone is 7-1, and it's 12-1 bar those. It probably should be matched. Thistlecrack, I just looked at the Gold Cup there. We were talking about Total Recall earlier on, and Thistlecrack's favoured for the Gold Cup as well. So there you go. We haven't lost faith in him, but I think. I mean, it's obviously a way up between. Will you know what I mean? Harry's run at the fitness edge he may have over Thistlecrack. Will that be enough? But Thistlecrack was like a jaw-droppingly good hurdler. Like, if you remember winning the World Hurdle and that, you know what I mean, Harry couldn't win the World Hurdle. So I don't think there's any doubt that Thistlecrack's far better these two over hurdles if he's fit. And I expect him to win.
He's getting £6 from him as well, isn't he? So
yeah,
it's a pretty big...
I expect him to win. I think evens is a decent price. You're taking his fitness. Maybe you just have to hear the vibes in the day or two before the race and what they're saying and stuff. But I think evens could look a decent price in the day because, you know what I mean, Harry just isn't as convincing as Thistlecrack certainly was. And I kind of had it in me that I wonder, will he just absolutely hack up here and then they'll have to start scratching their heads whether they should just stick to hurdling because the Gold Cup does look hard. But I think they'll definitely go back to open fences.
Yeah. When he won this race back in his hurdling days, as you say, I know he carried loads of condition beforehand and they were keen that he'd definitely come on for the run. But I think, you know, the vibes are they've done plenty of work with him, plenty of hard work at home, and he should be ready for this. And as I said, Mark, all the penalties and stuff makes it quite interesting because Colin's sister, she gets her MERS allowance, but obviously she's got a penalty for Weatherby as well. I think she could run really well, don't you?
I think so. I don't think I'm going to be welcome in this party, though, because I'm Team Harry.
Get out now.
I was on the way down this morning. I was talking to a good mate of mine, and we both agreed that we think that even though I'm sure, you know, no doubt Paddy's right that the better, you know, Thistlecrack was the better hurdler and is the better horse, but I just think it's easy to overlook the fact that he's had just over 300 days off.
It's a big question.
Off the back of an incredibly hard race. Let's not forget that race. Not that we can forget that race. And you know what I mean, Harry didn't have things go his way at Aintree, but still won. He'll come here fitter for that. And I think even with the weight, I expect, you know what I mean, Harry to win. I don't think this will be Thistlecrack's. You know, I don't see how Thistlecrack is going to be tuned up to the minute for this weekend. I think there's bigger targets down the line, whether it's over hurdles or over fences, and I can't see how a race fit, you know what I mean, Harry gets beat by a returning Thistlecrack who I don't anticipate being at his best. Yeah,
well, as much as I'm a fan of the horse, I totally understand your angle. I really do. I thought, you know, he's there to take on, really, isn't he? It's a big question to answer after all this time off. Brendan, you give us the final verdict. Does the good thing win?
Well, a little bit like Paddy, I'm scratching my head about this race. I'm really excited. It's terrific to have a clash like this so early in the season. But what the hell is Thistlecrack running in this race for? I mean,
I'm glad they're running him in it.
Pardon?
I think it's a great decision for them to go over hurdles. I think if they would have sent him chasing first time out, he would have absolutely petrified himself, just mad fresh.
Right. Okay, but the argument I would have is that the knock on him last year was that his jumping was still quite novice-y in places.
So would you not like him to get a little bit more experience of jumping fences as opposed to going back over hurdles?
Yeah, very, very true. Yeah. Yeah, very
okay,
true.
Well, basically, I'm scratching my head, but ultimately, I've come down to the thing that with the official ratings and the weight, Harry has 13 pounds to find with Thistlecrack, and I think even though he may be that bit fitter and what have you, he'll have to get this into the trenches at some stage. And I know Thistlecrack won't be knocked about, but is he ever knocked about in a race? Because he just travels like a monster. So he'll just travel away on the bridle there. And I think ultimately he'll just have too much for Harry, albeit first time out. I just think he's a better horse and he's getting weight. So I think he'll win.
Okay, I like the sound of that. Hopefully that'll happen.
I think it'd be great for the season if Thistlecrack could come back and really put a marker down. That would be just for the narrative of the jump season.
It would for me personally.
Well,
anyway,
it'd be a good story if it sets the season off.
Yeah, and like I say, maybe it's not a 2-horse race because Colin's sister, Lil Rockefeller's boosted that Weatherby form. Holstone's in again, so who knows? Something crazy could happen. But I think we're all billing it as a bit of a match. We've got Mark on Team Harry and the rest of us probably on Team Thistlecrack. Moving on now, has anyone got anything else they'd like to mention at Newbury, Newcastle or anywhere else this weekend? I'll go to you first, Mark.
Yeah, on Friday, the Ladbrokes Open Handicap Chase. 007 is in there, was in the Ladbrokes Trophy but came out this morning, so I mean, whether that's because he's going to, I haven't actually seen if he's going to go to this, but I like the profile of the horse going into his second season chasing. Jumping hasn't always been the most fluent, that would be the question mark with him. But he looked momentarily like winning the Grade 3 at Aintree at the back end on his last start. I think it was a little bit too far. That was over 2.5. This is over 2.3, so I think that step back will be in his favour. And I think he's going to carry top weight if he does line up in that race. But I think off 1.52, I still think he'd be open to improvement. It could be too good for them.
In that race that Bard's Hill got pulled up, that he won that, didn't he, at Cheltenham? The one that's got a really good roll of honour. He absolutely murdered them in that. Yeah. So maybe he's best this time of the year as well.
Quite possibly, yeah. And he's still, still only lightly. I think he's only had 4 starts over fences, won a couple of them. So yeah, that was the one that stood out for me on Friday. Is one that I'd like to. Depending on the prices when we get there on Friday, but that might be one I back.
Okay, 007 for Mark. Brendan, anything else catch your eagle eye this weekend?
Well, a couple of potential novice chase dust-ups. I see Yanworth and Willoughby Court are on a potential collision course at Newbury, so that'd be terrific.
Can't wait for that.
Yes, well, hopefully it happens. Willoughby Court should be a lot better going left-handed. He didn't seem that comfortable in Huntingdon, so I'd expect his jumping to improve. Yanworth's jumping improved no end as the race went on debut, and then he just fell over.
It was so unlucky, wasn't he? I wouldn't read too much into that, would you?
No, absolutely. And then on the Sunday, potentially, now this probably won't happen, but Footpad, Death Duty and Mona Lee are all entered in the Drinmore Chase. Now, if the 3 of them got it on, you'd walk over broken glass to watch it over 2.5 miles. But we'd take 2 out of 3. If 2 of them ran, I'd be delighted, and I look forward to that.
Okay, give us a word on each of them then. I know a lot of people rate Mona Lee as this year's RSA horse. He was really, really good in the Albert Bartlett last year as well, wasn't he, when he got beaten by Penhill?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this horse is a physical phenom. He must be 17 hands tall. And he was quite a nimble jumper of hurdles, actually. But the last day suggested, everything about him suggests fences, and he couldn't have been more impressive on his chase debut. Now, he mightn't have the speed. Like, I would argue that Footpad and Death Duty, probably their optimum trips are 2.5 miles, which just so happens Brynmore is over. So I would just about favour whichever of those hopefully takes him on. But Mona Lee at the moment, I've backed him for the RSA, and he looks a really, really smart horse. The other 2 horses, Footpad, they're actually talking about the Arkle, and Death Duty, they're talking about JLT. So who knows? But if they could all just get it on Sunday, let's not worry about Cheltenham. They're fitting well. Let's run them.
In the words of Marvin Gaye, let's get it on in that Drinmore Novices Chase then. Talking of Footpad, they are going to go for the Arkle with him, aren't they? He was spectacular, and there's been some pretty good words of Willie Mullins is saying he's the best horse they've ever had schooling over a fence at home. I know we've just had Brain Power win his novice chase at Kempton. That was pretty impressive. So how do you see the Arkle shaping up? Would he be the one you'd want to be with at this stage, Brendan?
No, I don't think you can bet in these races anymore, because they're going for the Arkle. Then 3 days beforehand, they're going for the JLT. At least you know with Monolith, he's 99% certain to go for the RSA because he ran over 3 miles at the Albert Bartlett. But trying to second guess running plans with these novice chasers, it just wouldn't be for me. But hopefully, I mean, he ran the champion hurdle, so maybe the Arkle makes sense. We'll see.
Okay, so Paddy's going to dislike me now, but I'm going to ask if we can get prices on those races for those targets that Brendan mentioned. So Monolith for the RSA, Footpad for the Arkle, and Death Duty for the JLT. Is that a bit too much to ask, Paddy?
No, I'm multitasker extraordinaire, Maddie. I'll just keep talking like this while I'm furiously at my keyboard. Footpad for the Arkle is 6-1 favourite for the Arkle, and Brain Power is into 10-1 after that impressive display there. But the one thing I'd say about the Arkle is every year you end up with a very short price favourite, a relatively small field. So whoever's favourite is not going to be 6-1 come March anyway. Monolith, one of my favourite horses as well, is a 7-1 shot, clear favourite for the RSA. Yamworth is next best, and Death Duty and next best behind him. So if Death Duty is going JLT, then that's Monolith's probably a decent price, and the Death Duty for the JLT is 8-1. There's as big as 12s around, but we're only 8-1 Death Duty, so probably think that might be the direction he's going as well. And just interesting as well because for Mark's tip earlier for 007, we actually have price on that as well. 10-1 007 for that handicap chase.
Oh, there you go. Sorry.
That's a pretty good price.
Yeah, I tell you, and we should also mention that it's great. We briefly mentioned with Apple's Jade earlier. Apple's Jade against Nichols Canyon probably on Sunday looks like it might be a bit of a cracker. Apple's Jade probably with the run under her belt might be the one to beat there. But that's
a lot better first time out this season than she was first time out last season, wasn't she? Yeah. She surprised me a bit. I'm not sure if Girls just gone and franked the form at Kempton. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll try and check whilst we're here scrolling through our phones. But Now we're just going to take a quick break. But after it, we're going to cover Bristol Demite, Sam Crow, which so many people are excited about, Marla Beach, and lots more looking back at this weekend. Join us then.
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes 2nd, 3rd or 4th to the SP favourite in at least 2 races every day this month. Max £25 per race. T's and C's apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back to the Monday Postcast. Now we're going to talk about Sam Crow. Now I did a piece in the paper actually giving my jury vote on him and his success at Navant yesterday. He's very short price for what was the Neptune, which is now the Ballymore. I mean, Jack Kennedy says he's given him the best feeling he's ever got from a horse. He looks like the second coming. I'll go to the Irish lads first. I know we're used to having this massive hype about a French Richie recruit or a Gillianstown Irish point-to-point winner, but this is a little bit different with him, isn't it? I'll go to you first, Paddy, sorry.
Yeah, so he's been well talked up for forevermore, and when Brian Cooper kind of lost the Gigginstown gig, he was asked about which horse he'll miss riding the most, and everyone's expected to say one of the season campaigners. He's won a few big pots for him, but in fact it was Sam Crow, and he's been well done up, and actually he's 2-1 favourite for the Ballymore hurdle now. That must be the shortest price favourite for this race ever in November. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if that's terrible value or he's just that good. But he does look different gear. He's almost certain to go for that race, I think, at Cheltenham. Not that it's all about Cheltenham, but with him it's all about next year jumping fences and everything. So it's like the trainers normally say that to you when your horse is slow and he's not winning hurdle race. So don't worry, he'll make a great chaser. But this fella, he does look very special, to be honest. I think he's one to get excited about. He is going to be the if you remember Harkon in the years gone by and all these ones that you go to Cheltenham with one Irish banker in your back pocket. I think this year it's going to be a Gordon Elliott one. It's going to be Sam Crow.
Just to mention some others in that Ballymore Novices Hurdle, I nearly called it by its former name then as well. We've got a lot of re-correcting to do. Next Destination, I was really impressed with him. Debussy on the blind side. Just give us a few more names that you can quote, Paddy.
Yeah, so Next Destination second favourite, 10-1. Debussy 16 along with Get a Bird, 20-1 Slate House and Red Jack. I forgot 12-1 White Moon, 25-1 Bigger the Rest. If Sam Crow does go for this race, then a lot of other horses will get scared off come the time, and they might go for some of the other races. This mightn't be the most competitive of the novice races.
Mark, we'll go to you next then. So what's your verdict on Sam Crow and the Ballymore as a whole?
It's hard not to be very taken with the quotes about Sam Crow. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, he's incredibly visually impressive, and you can crab the form all you want. But I think sometimes there's certain, we speak to we speak to and read trainer interviews every day of the week, and there's just sometimes when people are talking, you just think, oh, this is different. They sound different, their body language is different. And I think this is one, I think we can believe the hype on this one. I think it's going to be one of the massive storylines of the week is the bet on this horse when it comes to Cheltenham Week. It's just going to be ridiculous, I think. Fingers crossed, yeah, but I think it's safe to start believing the hype on this one now.
Brendan, what have you got to add on Sam Crow and the Ballymore?
Not a lot to add. I mean, everything about him just looks effortless, doesn't it? He travels away, he jumps away, settles beautifully.
That's what I thought. I was very surprised at how relaxed he was.
Beautifully relaxed, yeah. Doesn't waste any energy, just clears the hurdles. His hurdling actually was even, as you would expect, I suppose, when he's second run, was a little bit sharper. He wasn't quite as big over the hurdles as he was in Punchestown. But he's a hugely exciting horse. I mean, 2-1 wouldn't make a whole lot of appeal, but maybe the lads are right. Maybe he'd be even money on the day.
Yeah, well, if he does turn up, you're hard pressed to see you getting 2-1 about him, especially if he wins another few more of those races. Got to talk about Bristol de Mai now, because that Betfair chase, it was some slog, but 57 lengths. That's pretty impressive. What do we reckon of his chances in the next 2 legs of the £1 million bonus? Paddy, what price is he for the Jockey Club Triple Crown, or whatever it's called these days?
Yeah, he's 40-1, I think, for that to go and do the double now, I guess, because he's got the first leg done. And I guess maybe we're too quick to write him off, because it was impressive. It was a relatively boring race to watch, wasn't it? Because I mean, he just went out and jumped on, just went further and further clear. But he looks very, very good at this time of year on that type of ground. And you do have to question whether he's going to be as good come King George, come Gold Cup. But then again, there's got to be a chance he gets soft ground or whatever for those 2 races, and maybe he's worth taking a chance, because it's easy to crab him on last year how he didn't train on, or it seemed like he didn't train on. But again, he's only a baby, like. Yeah, he's only a baby. He had an injury as well last year, so maybe we're underrating him and not giving him the credit he deserves. Like if Q Card had won the same way, like he'd be going, oh my God, it's amazing to have Q Card back. You know, we kind of crab Bristol de Mai. I don't know why, because last year he wasn't as good as he seemed first time out. So yeah, I think I'm inclined to give him a chance, and I think he's got a reasonable chance at King George. You want soft ground, I think, because King George might be a bit short for him, but I'd like put it like this: he's definitely going to be going for it, isn't he? You've got a certain runner on your hands anyway. But I think he's got a squeak. I mean, it might be worth a sneaky tenner for that Triple Crown, just in case.
Track-wise, King George very sharp, and then Cheltenham, of course, very undulating. Does he not want a flat galloping track like Haydock? I mean, he's got such a good record there. Can he handle any other track? I'd be worried about him around Kempton personally.
Yeah, of course you would, but then he's only 6, so like I think we might be too quick to pigeonhole him as what he wants. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes they make a mockery of you when you have this view that they just don't handle Cheltenham or whatever, and somebody just grow up and develop and get stronger and just maybe now it's a question mark and it's an ask, but he's after winning the Betfair by say 57, whatever it was. I mean, you can't take that away from him, to be fair.
Okay, so 6-1 for the King George, 12 for the Gold Cup Bristol de Mai. Am I right?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, let's have a look for the Gold Cup. Yeah, he's 6-1 definitely for the King George, and I'll find the Gold Cup here down the bottom. He is. Where's the drum roll? Need to get my Wi-Fi fixed. We'll say he's 12-1, and if he's not, I'll correct it in a minute.
Okay, Mark, Bristol de Mai.
This is one of these horrible ones where connections of horses are going to get annoyed because they feel he's not getting credit for certain things. But I think it's true. You know, it's possible we can hold 2 ideas in our head at the same time. We can say on the one hand that what he did the other day was excellent, and that in that place at that time on that day in that race he was by far the best horse and he won it brilliantly. And hats off to everyone involved. It is also true to say that you see a 57 length margin in a Grade 1 and you think either we are dealing with Pegasus or something's not right here.
You look at that form.
Yeah, that doesn't happen, and there's a reason that doesn't happen all the time. So I think Nigel and everyone else will be going, oh, here we go, he's not getting the credit he deserves, and there's probably an element of truth to that. I find it funny that we seem to have pigeonholed Bristol de Mai so early. He's still such a young horse. We're all getting excited about Sam Crow. Bristol de Mai's run a lot more than Sam Crow, but he's still such a young horse. So it's not one that we know. We don't necessarily know everything about him yet. But I think it's also fair to say that was an extraordinary race for a number of reasons the other day, and that conditions suited him ideally. And I think in a way that you don't normally see in a Grade 1, everything for one horse. And I think, when you go down the line, when he's facing the likes of Sizing John, our Duke's potentially Thistlecrack, depending on what he does. If American or whoever goes and wins the Ladbrokes at the weekend, there are going to be, I know the people were getting annoyed at the weekend because we were saying, well, he had something to prove after Weatherby, he had to prove he's up to a Grade 1, and then he goes and wins one, and we're still saying he sort of has to. But I think I can't get away from the feeling that he does still sort of have something to prove against the real big players in this division, which, with respect, I don't think Q-Card is anymore. And T for 2, is one of those horses that's always going to be vulnerable to the better ones, I think. So, two things can be true at once, and he, congratulations to him the other day. It was an amazing performance, but I still think there are question marks when it comes to the bigger ones, and I think those prices Paddy said are fair.
Brendan, any lasting thoughts on Bristol de Mai?
I think it's really difficult. I saw the RPR lads gave him a massive rating, but they did put the caveat of it's a very difficult race to rate, and I would agree with that. But clearly, as Mark says, given the conditions of near unraceable ground on a flat track, he's a serious operator. So he really is, but he's unlikely to have those conditions in the two races, as you mentioned. So. I'm kind of sitting on the fence with them. I don't know what to make of it. I wouldn't like to be trying to put a figure on that race at the weekend.
Okay, I think we've all thrown up some very valid points on that one. The rest of this weekend action, we saw Min back over 2 mile for, was it Goran, and Marla Beach, of course, winning the Troy Town. Anyone got any massive things they want to mention? Now, I looked at Min, and I just want to ask Paddy a quick question. Do you think there's any chance that this horse could go for the King George after winning over 2 mile 4? Gives some options, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he goes King George. I think Min is probably Ryanair bound, I would have thought.
Okay.
And they'll have a strong hand in the Ryanair. I would think it looks that type of direction, I think. And actually, funny enough, with Top Notch as well, after winning as well, very 2.5 mile specialist of the division, probably it's turned out to be it's going to be a really, really good narrative, I guess, in the build up to Cheltenham about how that one goes. It's still a wide open race. We got Fox Nortons and all that in there under, so obviously. But yeah, Min's in as short as 7-1 for the Ryanair. I think that's probably where I was very impressed with Min. I thought it was a good out round of jumping, and just it looks like proper festival horse for spring.
When Ruby compared this horse to Corte Star, you know you're dealing with a good one. Was he the one you were most impressed by? Is there anything else lurking under the radar that you want to mention, Paddy?
No, as well. Like the one I wanted to mention was like Defi de Sul. Like, what the hell was that? Like, seriously, like, I mean, Defi was absolutely disgracefully bad. I mean, I thought it was very, very disappointing from him, from a horse that was going in there unbeaten, and
nothing's
to come away
to light
leaving
either, has it?
Yeah. It just looks like maybe the bubbles just burst. I mean, I know it's a one run and all that, but can't take away from Little Rockefeller was very impressive and brave as well. But like, was ridden with plenty of confidence, Defi, but never even got a sniff of a blow in.
Mark, Defi, do you saw anything to say or any other eye catchers?
Yeah, not much more to add on Defi really. I mean, it was there's getting beat and then there's getting beat like that. Just. Did everything wrong in the first part of the race. There was that horrible mistake, was it at the third? Yeah. Some people are talking about sun. There seems to be like this epidemic of horses being blinded by the sun now this season. We were talking about it at Weatherby as well. Like, it's never been a problem that I've been aware of before, but now we need to get sunglasses for horses maybe. It was just awful, and then after he sort of buzzed his race away in the first part, he looked so flat. Paddy's mentioned the one I was going to highlight was Top Notch. I thought it was brilliant. In particular, I love the way he jumped. And he was just, when you actually looked at the end, he was absolutely pouring it on at the finish. He
competitive race as well.
Yeah, could not live with him. And I think he's a serious Ryanair player now. And quite rightly, Paddy's pointed out that could be one of the races of the festival. I mean, it's easy to forget. Like last year, he was only beaten a length by everyone's favourite horse, York Hill, who could win the Champion Edel through to the Gold Cup, depending on who you speak to. I think Top Notch is a serious horse. There's a lot to like. It's exciting times. I think the future's very bright for him. Okay,
Paddy, Top Notch price for the Ryanair?
Yeah, he's 6-1 now for the Ryanair Top Notch, and there's as big as 14s around to see what one for him. I wonder if that's just a lazy odds provider. I forgot to cut him, but if you're looking across odds checker, yeah.
Well, it won't be around for much longer if Mark gets to say.
6-1, around 8-1 generally. We're 6-1 with us, so we're most impressed.
Okay, excellent. Brendan, weekend eye catcher for you?
Weekend eye catcher. Well, not. I mean, Min obviously is interesting because he would be a runner in. He would be a runner in the King George. He'd be a runner in the Tingle Creek. He'd probably end up running in Limerick at Christmas or something.
Yeah.
But it's an awful shame. So I don't know what they're going to do with him. The weekend eye catcher was actually probably a new Toxeter yesterday. There's a horse one called Ice Cool Champs.
Yeah.
And looked a dour stare, really likeable attitude, and I think it might be a while before the handicapper catches up with him. And certainly on television, it can be hard to tell on television, of course, looked to be a big scopy horse, so might make a chaser down the road as well.
Okay, Ice Cool Champs for Brendan. Have I said that right, Brendan? Just checking.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. I think that's about it from us lot. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Thursday for the football postcast, of course, and then the weekend tipping one on Friday. If you like our postcast, please make sure you review and subscribe on iTunes, and we'll see you soon.
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite in at least 2 races every day this month. Max £25 per race. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.